So what are you wanting to see from like each of these teams, like refocusing? Do you think Trebuchet should just do their best to like run back a similar comp?
I mean, when you lose the first game, or you're asking about Team Trebuchet, my mistake. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, I
both
think
of the
their
teams.
comp
So
in
I'm asking
game
about
one
both of them.
was sure, sure. Well, I think Trebuchet's comp in game one was definitely solid. I mean, they had a lot of power picks. They clearly had a decent amount of comfort as well, and they just played it out really well. So yeah, I think as many of those picks they can get again, um, they're gonna be pretty happy about that. Over there on the side of Team Ishtar, I feel like I kind of agree that the Volibear top didn't necessarily work out. I think something different up there would probably be nice to see for Tygoon. He does have the opportunity to save counter pick for himself this time around, as we have swapped sides. It's going to be Trebuchet on blue side this time around, and Ishtar on red if they want to save that counter pick for top lane.
Yeah, I
Um,
definitely want to see a counter pick, and I'm happy to see the Jinx and Viego bans.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're both strong picks in the meta right now, and when your opponents popped off on them as hard as they did in that last game, it just makes sense to take that option away.
Yeah, you know, one thing I want to see from Team Ishtar more than anything is just play fucking Jungle Poppy. Like, obviously that is one of my champions, but like, it's also just it counters so many champions. It counters what so many people want to do. And like for example, Trebuchet already, you know, they're gonna show the rel, you know, and then I guarantee that with Viego banned, I'm pretty sure that most of Close Your Eyes champion pool are all champions with dashes, which Poppy does amazing into. So just being able to have that like extra lever against it. And I don't like seeing the All-Star just because I didn't. It's a good pick. I just didn't see it being utilized the way it was supposed to be against the Rel, and that's where I'm running into issues with the All-Star pick.
I mean, I
I
think this might be a reasonable time to actually mention that Chicken the Wing for Team Ishtar here, I believe, is actually off role. From what I can tell from his OP.GG, he's actually a jungle main who's subbing into the support position here on this team. So, you know, the Alistar play might not be exactly where we would like it to be, but you know, he's doing his best down there.
Yeah, and I see the Kog'Maw, and it's weird. It can be both good and completely awful this game.
The Kog'Maw individually, or the pairing with Alistar specifically? Or...
It's keeping him alive. Like I already felt like the problem last game is they were always able to like find a way into the backline. They were always able to kill the Twitch, and I don't see how that changes too much with Kog'Maw. Besides the fact that Kog'Maw has more interesting and I guess defensive builds compared to Twitch, because you know Twitch, you need the what's it called? You need the attack speed mythic. I just don't know why it's dodging me right now. Kraken Slayer, yeah, I don't know. I just randomly had a brain fart. You need the Kraken Slayer, you need basically Runean's or Phantom Dancer. Then you need IE, like it's very set build, you know, but Kog'Maw, you can go for like the Lifeline or Kraken Slayer if you want it.
There was even, I think Frozen Heart Kog'Maw was a thing for a little while, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like Tank Maw?
I think it's Randuin's.
Oh, you're right, you're right. Yeah,
but it's Frozen Heart as real.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Personally, what Trebuchet chose was what I wish that Team Ishtar chose the last game, because I think like with the Vladimir, with like everyone like the Rel and everything like that, I think if they gave the agency basically to Frostbite to be able to E the Rel, you know, to be able to like, you know, sneak around with Invis, to be able to build like Wit's End. You know, I felt like that. I feel like that would have been more thematic, because like the Twitch I just wasn't sure about. As of a few picks, so I actually meant to mention this last time, is that I would have liked the Vayne over the Twitch. And it's kind of hard, because I look at Team Ishtar and I just don't know if these champions are going to be able to like, you know, handle the Rel, handle like the Kinnan coming in, you know. But I also don't think that Vayne is necessarily the best pick here either, because I think that she's short range and doesn't do well into like Kog'Maw or Ziggs unless she's able to like basically, you know, get her wits end and her team's already like kind of ahead, or she gets to a certain tier in late game. Otherwise she's having to dodge like a lot of auxiliary effects basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, these drafts I think are incredibly interesting so far. Both of these teams clearly going for very different things here, very different strategies. in this particular drafting phase. On the side of Team Trebuchet, they are just going straight back to team fight. I mean, back to what worked, right? They've got the Kennen for the big AoE ultimates. He's going to be an even better team fighter than the Jax was in the last game for Blast. And then Wet Dream's going to be tumbling around on the Vayne, has all of the scaling that he could ever want. And over here for Team Ishtar, they're like, well, guys, the team fighting didn't really work super well last game. Let's just not fight them ever and throw all our abilities at them from a screen away. See if that works. So they've got the long-range artillery this time around and a cow to run interference. It's going to be Voperto on the J4 here once again. See if he's going to be able to find a little bit more in the early game this time around. Try and find some kind of advantage for the team.
I just don't know how I'm feeling about it, because it's like are Kog'Maw and Ziggs that much of an upgrade over Twitch and Veigar? And I just don't think that's true.
I mean, they have more range. They have upgraded range.
They have more range, but like, for example, like Veigar had the event horizon. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but like, what is Ziggs gonna do to stop, like, you know, the Rel from coming in? Besides maybe the godlike satchel of all times, or like, you know, the Kennen from going in. Like, he's also squishy, so it's like not only do you have to index to protect the Kog'Maw, but you also have to kind of protect the Ziggs, or just hope Ziggs can protect himself. Like, if anything, like I know he's artillery and there is a lot more range, but I just don't know if that's enough considering the team comp that Trebuchet is drafting.
Well, I'll keep trying to play devil's advocate with you for now, Defiance. I think the Alistar and the Jarvan, you know, can at least attempt to peel a little bit. Although I will say that the Jarvan does feel a little bit like a self-counter pick into the Vayne. If you ever Cataclysm on her, she just condemns you into your own Cataclysm. It feels really, really bad. And that is going to be the Ornn Graves to finish up the draft here for Team Trebuchet. Means it's most likely going to be Graves into the jungle this game for Close Your Eyes, since the Viego was not available. And that appears to be the Mordekaiser to round things out for Team Ishtar, going to be going up against the Ornn in the top lane. So a couple of beefy boys. Graves feels pretty good into Jarvan also. I think Voperto is going to maybe have a pretty difficult time this game. It's really just Ziggs, Kog'Maw, and their front line, and a Dream.
I think the Mordekaiser is really nice, though.
Yeah? You like it against the Ornn?
Yes, I'm pretty sure Mordekaiser is a counter matchup to Ornn, because like if Ornn tries to go crazy or go ham in you, or if he ever tries to R, you just R him and then he loses the ability to R again. Not only that, but like for example in like a team fight, you can pull Graves out of it for a while, hopefully like survive his burst, or if Kennen's trying to ult the whole team, you can ult him. You know, and like so even if you don't win the Death Realm fights, being able to warp the fights with your Death Realm is an underrated tactic. And so that's why I like it, because I think it's a strong matchup for him in the top lane. I think that Tygoon should almost always be like on a strong matchup or a team fight matchup. He's definitely had his like ups and downs, but I generally like him as a player to get a counter matchup if possible, and I think he chose a good pick. I'm not sure about the Jarvan. I think he played it decently well early game. I guess like I'm definitely having recency bias from the last game, and I just don't know if when it's going to get to that 20-minute mark, when it gets to those dragons that are going to have to start being forced. I just don't know if basically like the Alistar and the Jarvan were the best picks. Personally, I'm okay with like Jarvan and the Mordekaiser, but it's the Jarvan and the Alistar together. And again, you did say he was off role, but I would have liked to see something fulfill a similar role, but like has like better peel than Alistar. But I see Alistar and Jarvan going in, I see Mordekaiser going in, and I see Kog'Maw and Ziggs fighting for their life. I think if we saw like a Janna, I think a Janna would have been a phenomenal pick this game. I think Renata is an underrated, but would have been a pretty decent pick. I don't know how the Renata Rel thing works. I don't know if you can like Q and then like move her mid W. I don't know if that's just too slow, if that doesn't work. But like Renata could have been an interesting pick, for example, with like the Graves and Vayne just beating up their own team. I just think there were other picks, but again, if you're off-rolling, you know, those picks don't naturally come to you.
Yeah, I mean, the Alistar has been locked in, I think, first rotation both games for Team Ishtar. First or second rotation, been very early on, so it may be kind of a situation where this is just by far Chicken's most comfortable pick, and it's just what he wants to play, you know?
Yeah, I feel like he played something last week, though, that was different, and that's why I was kind of surprised to see him kind of like...
Okay.
Chicken, because like, let's see, he played Nautilus which I don't think is as great in Durrell. But he played Nautilus, he played Taric, and he played Nautilus again previous week. So, you know, with the fact that I saw him play Nautilus and I saw him play Taric, and then now he's just like indexing into All-Star, I don't necessarily think All-Star is bad. I just don't know if he is good at this matchup because he's off-rolled, so I don't know if it's the pick, basically. I definitely see how their team can function though. Like if they can get off to like an early lead again, and then have the dragon fights be forced upon them, you know what I mean, and then counter engage. The biggest thing is counter engage. If Team Ishtar can show me that they can counter engage, I think their team comp is fine. I think that they drafted okay. But until then, like I just have to give the advantage to Trebuchet because they showed why they are improving and why they are stronger.
The Kennen mid is a little bit funky. I didn't realize until just now, actually, that was what is happening. It is going to be the Kennen mid for OPIV into the Ziggs. That should be interesting to watch. But I do actually have a question about the top lane matchup. I'm not sure if you know, Defiance. If Ornn is casting W and Mordekaiser presses R on Ornn, does Mord's R work?
That's a good question. In what makes sense to me, I would say he should be able to cancel Mord ult.
Yeah, I that was kind of my assumption as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that interaction.
Well, I know there's a few interactions I've been able to do that basically gets me
I know
out of the Mordekaiser thing, because I know you can like stun him or sometimes like lose vision just enough. So
yeah.
the fact that you can like basically block a hook, you can block like other forms of CC with it. I want to tend to say yes. So maybe that was something that has like switched the matchup, and that's less my like boomer knowledge. But if I remember correctly, I still feel like after that happened, Mordekaiser was picked even in pro play as a counter to Ornn. But you know, again, there's always like the crazy Ornn damage where like even if like yeah, sure, once you have demonic embrace, sure, once you have like the leeching orb, like you can start like basically like fighting him more. But like early on, like just throughout the game, like Ornn does a surprising amount of damage and can solo kill champions you wouldn't expect him to solo kill.
Well, guys, we're going to be getting into game 2 pretty shortly here. We do have 2 circles versus 1 circle in favor of Team Ishtar. Ziggs plus Jarvan, only the Kennen circle. So circle advantage for the red team
Mordekaiser
here.
has a circle too. His passive.
Okay,
Definitively a circle.
yeah. It technically is a circle, yeah,
What,
all right.
what do you mean technically it is a circle? It's totally a circle.
Yeah, but it's not like a circle that you can place is kind of what I'm getting at here. It's not like a circle that you cast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, up for debate perhaps whether there's actually a distinction there or not. But some nasty team fighting, definitely drafted once again by Team Trebuchet. They're going to look to pick up right where they left off at the end of game number 1 there, and it's going to be up to these couple of different hyper carries now for the mid-bot of Team Ishtar, see if they can turn things around and bring us to game 3. We'll have game 2 of tonight's matchup right after this, guys. Don't go anywhere. Circle, like, where's the line? Where's the line, Defiance? Is everything a circle? Oh shit. I was very
5?
distracted.
Pause to 10.
5. Oh, we're going to 10 now?
Yeah, I can go back to 5. Okay, I'm at 5. we're arguing about circles, but where's the point?
Boo.
Oh, I know. We can hear you, I assume I'm on stream. Yep. So who do you think is going to win this game?
I mean, the end of that first one looked pretty one-sided from where I was sitting, Defiance.
Mhm.
I think Team Trebuchet, they certainly have the momentum here. Although Ishtar, they do have the momentum from their match last week. So, that was also a 2-1. They did drop a game in that match. So it certainly could be possible for them to turn things around.
Mhm.
But yeah, their composition, I kind of agree with you that their composition here feels a little bit wonky, especially when we take into account what we saw from Team Ishtar in game number 1 there. It just really feels like they're trying to run back the same strategy after it really did not work at all.
Yeah, that's kind of where I struggled. It's like I can see the merits of this comp, but it's like I just watched this comp basically fail. So like
Yeah.
that's where I'm very curious if it's going to stay this way. But like for example, I do like the idea of the Ziggs. Like all in all, if I take away my memory of last game, their comp isn't bad by any means.
Yeah.
Especially because like Ziggs has a lot more lane priority. I don't think Kennen will have nearly the same like or shouldn't have the same success as Vlad. It all depends on flanks and
He's running the
whatnot.
Ignite on the Kennen, which is pretty interesting.
It's definitely interesting because I don't see Kennen as being like the lane dominant. I'm going to kill an artillery control mage
And he's
type
such a great
link.
teleport user.
Yep. Well, teleport's also been pretty nerfed, so
That's fair.
it's one of those where it's like he's a great teleport user, but there's also a chance that he could use Ignite twice by the time like he could use a good teleport within
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
first 15 minutes.
Definitely true. It also is possible that Tygoon could be a little bit more of a threat this game on the Mordekaiser, more
I
so than he was on
absolutely
the
think he's
Bear
gonna be more of a
last
threat.
game. So if that ends up coming into play here, then I think the composition over here on the side of Ishtar could definitely be in a better spot. Able to land the EQ there. Blast not able to get the charge into the pillar. Does have the Bellows Breath. Gonna be able to get the bonk here, I believe. And Tygoon, the minion autos.
Oh my god.
Oh, he's dead. First blood for Blast on the Ornn.
Honestly, I think if he went for like a Q auto, I would have at least tried to trade at that point. It was just he was so low. It's just like I was like, man, he made the right choice. He got out with 1 HP, but then he didn't. So it's like, I'm gonna go with results-based analysis on that one.
Minion autos in the air. Did he have a charge of refillable? I didn't see if Tygoon neglected to drink his potion there. I'm not sure, but it was close. But in the end, 400 gold for Blast, and he is just gonna be feeling really good about that one.
Oh yeah, and see that's where it's one of those things where like Mord can do very well into him, but Mord also like needs items to usually be able to completely finish him off. Especially because like man, that Ornn damage with that W is just so fat. We've seen it time and time again with a lot of people on this team.
Okay, Jarvan making his way down here. Voperto trying to find that early action. Nice attract repel stun from Red Strike. Able to slow him down, but a nice interrupt also on the jump. That's going to be the Ignite coming down. That's going to be a kill coming through. Voperto picks up the last hit onto the enemy support. Ties us up at 1-1. Wet Dreams. Got to be careful. That's going to be an EQ connecting once again. Vayne still has both summoners. We'll be okay for now. Voperto eats a tower shot. And Graves is going to pull slightly ahead in CS.
I would have frozen this lane, to be honest, unless they went on recall. Okay, if Vayne backs, then pushing is fine. But I was about to say, if Vayne's sitting there just like, walking back and forth doing nothing, I would have frozen the hell out of that lane.
Oh, that's a Ziggs very low, forced to flash away in the mid lane. Tygoon also still not really getting the better end of these trades up against Ornn. It's the Grasp versus the Conqueror. Early on, I think Grasp is definitely the stronger laning rune.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Because Conqueror just takes a while to stack up. Meanwhile, by the time
well, that's gonna be the flash into the stun. Oh, face to the wind. Oh, the stun was late, and the tower shot is just gonna execute Ivy. A little bit of a misplay there. Uses the flash for that one as well, just to give over 300 gold to his lane opponent.
honestly a huge misplay as well because he had Ignite. So I think he could have done something a little bit more safe while having like how much true damage is that? It's a good whopping 150 true damage, which I think would have really helped to not die in that situation. I think he could have done something with a little bit more nuance in that scenario, but
And
instead giving them a lot of gold that they desperately needed.
pretty much anything besides flashing into a tower shot, I think would have been a reasonable course of action there.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, not what we decided to go for here for OP Ivy, so he will be down with
honestly,
Thunder Spell.
I think even igniting and then flashing into a turret shot wouldn't have been as bad because then I think Ziggs would have died before the minefield, which was what really made it horribly awful.
True. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, it was also well played by Face to the Wind
Yes.
to play it as defensively as he could, and he was rewarded for it. So very nicely done. Up 2-1 now for Ishtar, and now Jarvan making his way once again back here towards the bottom lane, but this time there was good vision control in the river, and Red Strike Wet Dream's going to be able to back off with plenty of time. They have their own jungler relatively nearby, although Graves is still pretty weak at this point in the game, doesn't necessarily want to be scrapping with Jarvan this early on.
I think one thing though that I like that Boperto's doing is just the fact that he's staying bot side because I think here we've got the fight going out.
Be
it's
the
3v3.
face check for Red Strike into the bush, but a decent engage there. Not able to get the knockup onto the Kog'Maw though. Frostbite is free firing from the backline. Wet Dreams presses forward, but the Mega Inferno Bomb finishes off the Rel, and now Vayne will also fall. It's going to be Close Your Eyes. Able to pick up a kill onto the enemy AD carry. Can he get more though? Boperto EQ forward. The W connects. One more auto, and the J4 is 3-0. 6.5 minutes in.
Honestly, that alone gives me so much more faith in Ishtar. Because did you notice how patiently they played that? Did you notice that All-Star held all of his cooldowns and then waited for Jarvan to do his thing, to do his own, to do the own thing, and then be able to react into the rel, be able to react to those situations. And now we're going to see Team Ishtar attempt to secure an early dragon, which might be difficult depending on rel's pathing. I was about to say I don't really know if he's going to be able to do it because of the rel's pathing. Okay, but at the very least, we're not going to see these free dragons basically go over to Trebuchet like we did previously, because I think that was one thing that definitely screwed Ishtar is it put them on such a timer and they knew it. They're just all of a sudden they're like, oh crap, we're on soul point, so they kept forcing. But now this heavily brings the pace of the game back into Ishtar's favor, where they can play more of their game without being on the back heels.
Yeah, and now maybe this composition that we are seeing them more or less run back from the previous game will be able to function a lot better, right? Now that they're not pressured into those situations where they're forced into the jungle, into these awkward fights where their carries are exposed to engages, they're going to be able to play this out a lot more slowly, a lot more calmly, as you were just pointing out in that bottom lane fight. Could look a lot better for them. Now we're seeing Tygoon lay down the mace up there in top lane, looking to look a little bit stronger now on the Mordekaiser, going for the Bomby Cinder. There's called the Forge God going to come out here. Close Your Eyes is here, but he messes up the end of the line there. That is going to be the Death Realm coming down onto the Graves. Close Your Eyes, able to dodge out on the Death's Grasp there. Tygoon lays one more Q. He's not able to find it, but the Mega Inferno Bomb will finish the job and make that a 1-for-1.
Okay, knowing the fact that Ziggs was walking up to basically surprise them with the ult makes so much more sense, because I was like, it's so very risky to keep going for this fight, because you basically got the perfect ult to then walk away. But honestly, you'd rather your Ziggs get fed than Ornn get more kills. And ooh, a fantastic engage.
Boperto, beautifully done. Yeah, Wet Dreams, just nowhere to go. Unfortunately, Chicken once again going to take the wing here.
Not even his fault either. It was literally an aftershock proc.
Yeah, unlucky there.
Yeah,
but still, that is going to be it's going to be a bunch of CS here denied from the Vayne. Vayne not even level 6 yet, so going to be significantly far behind here to the Kog'Maw. Frostbite in a great position here. Going to be able to catch up in CS, get himself a turret plate or two.
It's so unfortunate for Frostbite, because I think that he's had up to 3 deaths in the last 10 minutes. Only 1 kill in the first 10 minutes of each game. So 1 kill in the first 10 minutes, 3 deaths in the first 10 minutes, but 10 assists. And like all of those games are drastically different if the AD carry has gold.
Ooh, Tygoon, maybe in a tough spot here. Decent death grabs to pull away the cannon, but he still gets stunned up. He still gets taken down. It's going to be the mid laner OP Ivy gets himself on the board. Rift Herald now is the target and should be secured. So that will be, once again, the neutrals, the early neutrals traded evenly. 1-for-1. The Rift Herald going over to Trebuchet this time around.
And this is where I mean like Ishtar kind of forces a little bit too much because they really wanted to stop like the Herald, but there are scenarios where like for example like I'm pretty sure Ziggs was closer to bot lane than he was to mid lane or to top lane, let alone Herald, and then his jungler just barely got there. I think he had to EQ to even just get over the wall to be in the general area. So like for Tygoon to like try to stop it, what he should have just done was hover. Like you basically go, hey, I'm gonna pretend my teammates are here, that they're like in the fog of war, and I'm looking very interested. You know, so like you can't tell because he also didn't have his ult, so you just kind of have to like fake it and to make it basically, because otherwise then you're just gonna feed over some more kills because you just can't stop that many people, especially with your ult down, and when you're already having a game that you're kind of struggling in.
Yeah, definitely. It was Team Trebuchet pretty much calling his bluff on that one. Mordekaiser looking a little bit too tasty there. Stepped just a little bit too far forward. He gets stunned up by the cannon. Nice bellows breath there from Blast. Able to keep himself safe from the pullback.
And one really good thing too about the state of top lane for Trebuchet is the fact that since Ornn basically was able to get like such a good early game, it's going to be harder for Mordekaiser to really do anything, especially doing the tank build until like way later in the game.
Oh, that's the headbutt pulverize in. Sets up beautifully for the EQ. Wet Dreams, though, pop the ultimate into the final hour. He's invisible, but the dunk is more than enough damage to finish him up. And meanwhile, on the other side, Close Your Eyes just killed both of the bot laners. Boperto gonna have the combo back up in a second here. Dodges away from part of the end of the line. Flashes into the Dragon Pit, and he will make it out of there. But still, it's a 2-for-1 play. Team Trebuchet able to get the better end of that one.
And we're starting to see flashbacks of game one. Ishtar realizing that they had a decent bit of a lead in the bot lane, try to force a tower dive into a Rel while also blowing the All-Star combo, and then we just watched the same thing that Rel was able to do game one, and that's just basically jump in and AoE the hell out of that bot lane.
Yeah, but we do also have to give, I think, some props to Close Your Eyes there for being in the exact right place for the counter gank to be able to make that one happen. Able to drop Herald here as well, but may have overstayed just a little bit. As he finds himself
the right place.
Yeah, a little bit of good old caster cursing coming through there. You're welcome, Absolutely. Mr. Graves.
Literally always in the right place this whole game until that one moment you said he's been in the right place, and then that was the absolute most wrong place right before Dragon to give himself plates. The epitome of greed.
I mean, it's my bad though. Clearly, my fault Obviously. On that one. Sorry about that, everybody. But
he's doing the good old jungler worth thing because like he was able to get his Merc Treads and his like last whisper. So he's like, sure they got Dragon, but I am so ready to fight now.
I'm fed now. Yeah, like it's fine. Oh, that's the bomb. That's a kill. Face to the wind picks up number 4. Ziggs is getting pretty strong here, Defiance.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that I'm not really sure why they picked Kin in mid. Like,
yeah,
it's just kind of interesting to me, in general.
Okay, Close Your Eyes is 2 levels down, but almost able to make something happen there with the Eclipse completed. He definitely packs a punch.
Oh yeah, and then he also has the Merc Treads too to help basically get rid of some of the Ziggs damage as well as some like life steal on top of that. So he's definitely able to handle it. I would like to see some heal cut coming in early from Ziggs, because since he's able to apply it the easiest out of like everyone there, and I think it just fits into his build better. Like, so right there he could have afforded it better. Like he went for more of the I want more damage, I want to kill Kennen again build, which I don't blame him because he just did it and he's 4-0. But like it would have been so easy to also just grab that, you know, that quick Oblivion Orb, and it would have been great into how Vayne is building some lifesteal, you know, like the natural sustain of Ornn. You got the Eclipse from Graves. Uh-oh.
We do see the teleports unleashed. Oh, face to the wind. That's a lot of money. There's that Kennen mid coming in big. Use the Ignite for that one as well. OP Ivy picks up his second. And that is a lot of money swinging back in Trebuchet's favor. Didn't see how the Ziggs ended up caught out there in the middle of the lane, but definitely a costly mistake as Tygoon is leveled down, but looking extremely aggressively for these trades into the Forge God. That's a flash into the Magnet Storm. Close Your Eyes is here again, and there's the collateral damage to finish off the Void Puppy. Alistar, Chicken the Wing is looking pretty fried. He will go down underneath the tower as well, and it's going to be a double kill for Close Your Eyes.
You know, honestly, instead of just constantly counterpicking with the Alistar, I really wish they would have banned Rail just from watching this game.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I mean, they banned the Viego and the Jinx instead, right? But, I mean, I called it out. I said after game one, his Red Strike was the difference maker, and here we are, seeing it again with a beautiful engage.
Yeah, because I definitely don't see the problem with banning Jinx and Viego, because, like, Jinx is one of those champions that can always just carry games late easy. The Viego honestly deserved a ban after the performance in game one, especially later on.
That's
but
true.
I think that the pin that is really pulling it all together, like you said, is the Rel. Like every team fight, like Rel just hits everybody, you know, like stuns them, starts tanking, makes life completely miserable for everybody, and then you just see like, you know, like Wet Dreams and Close Your Eyes be like, haha, and just like basically fuck around and just like, you know, get free kills. Like they're just like, thank you. I
Yeah, I
deserve
mean,
this.
it's literally a Graves and Vayne, and then just all of the setup that they could possibly want.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen them able to handle the Rel like I think exactly one time in this series, and that's just what makes me feel nervous for basically Team Ishtar as this game goes on.
Yeah. Well, we are going to have our third dragon of the game here in about 90 seconds. Will be a Mountain Soul for game number 2. We're all tied up right now, Defiance, at 10-10 in terms of kills. The gold slightly in favor of Team Trebuchet, but not too significant here. So I do expect this next team fight around the Mountain Dragon to be pretty pivotal in determining how this mid game is going to look.
Oh yeah, I think basically like the objective timers mean everything this game. Like it's this whole game is going to be based around the objective timers. And so like whenever we see this dragon come up, I'm very curious. I have a feeling that Trebuchet will definitely not want to let them get the soul point, and I know they'll contest the one after. So I'm assuming this next dragon is going to be very pivotal for like the state of the game, because
especially
I can't
all
see
the tanky members, right, in this game.
Yeah, and not only that, but I can't see either team just giving it up. Like I can't see either team being like, oh, we're not in position. So like I definitely think like whichever team gets into position and starts off the fight is going to be like the one who feels good.
Well, Tygoon was eating the worst end of that one, but he's going to put a blast in the Death Realm now. Oh, he missed the second proc on the Forge God there, and he's just going to get clobbered with the mace. Tygoon picks up a solo kill.
So important for Tygoon, especially just from like a mental perspective. And then, not only that, but we have Dragon coming up and no Ornn ult.
And teleport for Mordekaiser. Oh, it's all coming together here for Team Ishtar. They're going to be able to potentially put themselves on Mountain Soul point here. 5v4 situation. Kennen does have ultimates. So does Red Strike here on the Rel. Oh, OP Ivy. Oh, he's got, there's the EQ is going to connect, but he's going to throw out the Lightning Maelstrom. Decent damage with the Mega Inferno Bomb. Is going to zone everybody away. A lot of damage back now.
It was looking pretty risky, but I really like the fact that they decided to take the fight on their own terms.
Yeah, absolutely. Able to set that one up. OP Ivy got a decent ultimate off, but with a man down, they just didn't have it in them to win that fight. Close Your Eyes wants to try and go for the steal here, potentially just going to throw a collateral damage over the wall and not going to get the objective, and that is 3 dragons to none now for Team Ishtar. They did lose their mid-tier 1 for that particular dragon, but I think they're still going to feel pretty happy about it with the amount of control they're going to have moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely think that this game is trending extremely well for Ishtar, because being able to be put on Soul Point, especially with like some of the members they have, like the Ziggs and the Kog'Maw, and it's also got a lot of just value on the Jarvan, on the Mordekaiser, on the Alistar as well. Of course, Vayne can always still just destroy them because she becomes more powerful with her true damage.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if Vayne gets blown up, it's going to be so much harder to all of a sudden kill anybody. And if Kog'Maw gets to the point in the game where he decides, oh, I'm just going to build a Randuin's, then all of a sudden, like, you know, Graves is going to be like, wait, this is hard. And then there's also a chance that he can grab the Wit's End as well, and then Kennen can't really blow him up. So this is where the Kog'Maw starts to really shine as his items start coming in. So it really depends on where we see how he wants to take his build from 3rd and 4th item. Because if he goes Blood of the Ruined King, he will do more damage, but then it's all on him to stay safe. But if he gets like the Wit's End and then if he gets like the random wins, then like he can literally kind of just free fire, and the enemy team might waste their time trying to kill him, while his team is still doing a lot of ambient damage, and he's still able to live through it. So it's
Yeah.
an juxtaposition I think Ishtar finds himself in, and I'm curious on which build he's going to end up going.
Okay, Call of the Forge God gonna come out here. Oh, that's a beautiful satchel charge, but is it enough face to the wind? Oh, it's not. It's not. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, guys.
I wish it was, because I was like, oh, he canceled it, and then I just watched Graves just like beat the shit out of him, and I'm just like,
a great
I'm
W.
fine. He deserves it, Graves. Leave him alone.
Yeah, it's like, no, stop it, Graves, you bully. But Close Your Eyes is just gonna tell us to do that, and gonna go ahead and execute the Ziggs. And gonna take out that top lane tier 1 as well. Tygoon wanted to try and trade back down here on the bottom side, and may be able to do so. OP Ivy gonna get dove here. There's a teleport coming down. The lightning maelstrom is very good. Tygoon takes a couple of tower shots. Zhonya's as well to make sure that the cannon can survive. Blast does not have his ultimate. Does have the flash, but I don't think there's really a play here. Gonna go for the searing charge forward. Death's Grasp will not connect, and I think
I would chase the hell out of this if I was Ishtar.
Yeah, Ishtar, they are going to go for it. Blast, maybe overextending a little bit. The Cataclysm onto 2 is pretty good. Death's Grasp now onto the Ornn. Blast running out of HP, and he will get cut down. Tygoon on a killing spree. Mordekaiser picking up 3 in a row. And now 2 minutes until this potential Mountain Soul can come through. Vilperto going to EQ over the wall very comfortably. Going to be just fine. And another kill going over to Ishtar.
That's another reason why I like the Mordekaiser build, like the Frostfire build, because like with the advent of like Demonic Embrace, I believe, basically it's just really strong because based off the HP that he builds, you know, he gets so much AP from the Demonic Embrace. It also keeps him very relevant throughout the game as it does percentage max HP as well. And then considering like, you know, the Ornn, the Rel, and even somewhat the Graves, like it just feels really good. And then it also enables him to basically just be a tanky AP bruiser that you don't always get to, like, that honestly Riot hasn't really like introduced into the game for a while. It's pretty much just they've always been like, I would just feel like somewhat tankier AP mages. Well,
yeah, you pretty much either build AP or you build tank. The like AP tank items are just really, they don't really exist.
Yeah, they finally started to. I feel like this season as well. And then like you even see like the bruisers have been a lot tankier, which, you know, to a lot of people's dismay. But like I see them trying to like catch a balance between the two, which, you know, Riot is not always the best at balancing. But
Yeah.
I do enjoy the Mordekaiser build and being able to do both of them. Like if you're carrying, you go for full AP, you just try to destroy people, and then like this build is kind of more of like a kite it out and like team fight and just slowly melt people.
Okay, well, back to the game at hand here. I do like what Team Trebuchet is doing right now, trying to take control over this bottom side jungle and set themselves up in a position where they can deny this Mountain Soul from coming through. We'll just have to see how the team fight looks. They do have a lot of tools. They have all of their ultimates, all of their summoner spells, except for that flash on the Ornn.
I like this. It's basically if you dare to take Dragon, we will take Baron. So Ishtar definitely being a lot more creative with the controls. I'm surprised they didn't just start it.
I feel like they could have. Yeah, I mean, you see all of these Trebuchet members. Blast gonna face check here. He's tanky, but I don't know if he's that tanky. The top laner is gonna get taken out here. Now OP Ivy gonna get trapped in the Cataclysm. He flashes into the Maelstrom. That's a lot of damage coming out from Graves and Kennen. It's actually a double kill for the Graves. He's still alive. Close Your Eyes is trying to make it happen here on the backline. Wet Dreams tumbling forward in the final hour. Chicken the wing. He goes in for the headbutt pulverize, but not in time to save his mid laner. It's the Ziggs will also fall. Wet Dreams staying alive. Backsteps from the Mace. Tygoon can't make it happen. It's going to be Wet Dreams tumbling forward for the last auto, and it's a shutdown for the Vayne. I thought for sure after that pick onto the Ornn that it was going to be Ishtar picking up everything on the map. But a team fight win at the final hour means Wet Dreams keeps his team in the game.
I don't even know how they won that team fight. I feel like they shouldn't have. For sure, it felt like such a good start to a team fight, and I think this goes to show like how hard sometimes it is to keep in a mobile carry, like Kog'Maw alive. But this is where like I understand. I think like Runan's feels like it would be good, right? Because you would be able to hit everybody. Sure, you get to unload so much damage. But I feel like if he started building towards Wit's End and even just had that Null Magic Mantle, it would have been enough to help keep him alive through the Maelstrom into the Graves ult that really killed him. And like I
Yeah.
think just that build difference would have basically made the difference in that team fight. Would have led to Mountain Drake, which probably would have led to a Baron. But instead, now we find a lull in the lanes in the game state where Trebuchet still has the gold lead.
Yeah, Trebuchet with a critical moment there, able to turn it on at the last possible second to get that team fight win. You know, there's a lot of ifs about, the build choices, and maybe Kog'Maw, maybe if he had just positioned a little bit better, he could have been able to survive there. But overall, I think it was just a pretty nutty counter engage from OP Ivy there. Just the immediate, no hesitation, flash Kennen ultimate into the enemy team and close your eyes with some great follow up that really just made that one happen. But they're going to need to make a few more of those happen if they want to get the 2-0 here. I think still a pretty solid position for Team Ishtar, although the jungler may be getting caught out here. Red Strike with a beautiful two-man knock-up, a track repel for a double stun as well. And that's Moperto flashing into the death chamber. And Baron is very much alive here, Defiance.
Yeah, man, that was just like a series of unfortunate events, especially because like I almost feel like if they tried to fight it a little bit more, they could have gotten something more out of it. Because, for example, like if Jarvan basically went for the ult, well, I guess I'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, we are seeing some pretty low health bars here, specifically on Red Strike's Rel. But here comes Call of the Forge God. Beautiful knock-up onto 2, and Face to the Wind is just putting his face right into the dirt. That is the engage. That is the team fight prowess that we were expecting to come through from Team Trebuchet as they wipe the floor with what was left of Ishtar. They're going to be able to pick up the Baron, and they are taking control here in Game 2.
So unfortunate. So what I think should have happened is I honestly think that Trebuchet took an awful fight when they caught out Voperto, because I think Voperto should have definitely just went for the EQ and then an immediate ult. It would have been followed up by the Ziggs ult, and then since they would have been trapped in the Cataclysm, it would have felt a little safer for Kog'Maw. Then we also should have seen the Mordekaiser, who did TP to help the fight, but the problem was he TP'd in the mid lane instead of on top of the Jarvan banister, which could have been inside of Cataclysm. So I just see that as a huge execution error, because basically like that whole team, like I feel like Ishtar had all of the tools to completely collapse on that and turn the game on its head, but instead they just lost their jungler for free, lost Baron for free, and then lost all of their lives.
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of is a mirror of what we saw in Game 1. It just kind of came down to Trebuchet outplaying in the team fights, and that's what we just saw happen again. This is maybe a consistent issue for the side of Team Ishtar. It could be the reason why they've been struggling so far this season of BTL.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, part of it is I'm curious about the comms, because I feel like some of it just comes from comms. Because like if you just like rely on basically like existing like synergy and stuff like that, sometimes like you miss out on scenarios like that just throughout communicating like what you guys should do or like what'll help. And so I'm kind of curious on what their comms are like, because I feel like it is definitely affecting this team when it comes to the mid late game.
Baron buff on, Forge God called, knock up onto Frostbite, and he just got absolutely shredded, Defiance. That little Void Puppy blew up faster than a firework on 4th of July.
Yeah, at this point, it's hard to see Trebuchet not take this series 2-0.
It's certainly looking that way. Still 5 men strong pushing into the base. Mid-tier 3 has been broken. Mega Inferno Bomb comes out, pretty much sidestepped by everybody. They didn't stack their circles, Defiance. Jarvan didn't use his circle. And now they're on to the Nexus turret. That's the flash into the triple Magnet Storm. Red Strike showed him how it's done. He says it's time to end the game, boys. Kennen is the one who ends up going down, though. Lots of low health bars, but not able to finish off these members, actually, as the side of Team Trebuchet just yet. They are able to finish off the first Nexus Tower and the top laner in the end, but that's going to be the EQ into the Cataclysm. The Red Strike still alive, manages to find another engage before he goes down, sets up beautifully for his double AD carries to clean up the fight here. Kog'Maw is going to be able to get one back onto the Graves, but with no members left alive, is going to be Blast walking into the base, and he's going to be cleaning this one up for the Team Trebuchet 2-0.
I have to admit, I'm just still staring at the Renan's Hurricane, wondering when it became of any use.
Yeah, didn't work out. Can't use your item if you're dead.
basically. I just would like to see what's end.
Yeah, I mean, there's a decent amount of magic damage there, definitely, with the Kennen as well as the Ornn setup there with the
And,
Ornn
and
ultimate.
I would say in a lot of those fights, he mostly died to the magic damage in the beginning, except for
Yeah,
like I guess the Baron fight where like Vayne and Graves were just able to tear through his team and just reach him eventually. But like I think in the two most pivotal fights, he basically died to magic damage either under the turret or just getting caught out by that amazing re-engage by both OP Ivy and Red Strike. Which is very unfortunate, but a fantastic turnaround from Trebuchet. They look really good and on point. They know exactly what they want to do.
yeah. I mean, this was their first win of the season, right? So big congratulations to them, and they looked good doing it, right? They looked really good tonight.
hmm They looked absolutely good. So like even though of course it's I definitely speak more negatively than I should in a way, right? Uh, so I do want to give the props to Trebuchet. They played really well. It's just for example I see things as what the other team could have done better to make that situation
Sure.
not happen. And
Yeah.
and the problem is that Trebuchet was always doing better, so I never got to say the same thing for them. Who do you like? Do you want to invite someone real quick for like a quick interview or anything?
That's good. I'm down for a POG interview. Who do you think? Now that we've seen both games, we've watched everything play out. Have I convinced you that the answer is Red Strike yet, or are you still sticking with Red Wet Dreams over there?
It's
Who's
definitely
who's
not
the
Wet Dreams. He
real
just kind of
carry?
he kind of hung out this game. I would say it has to be between Red Strike and Close Your Eyes. Um, I have a feeling that Close Your Eyes, as he gets into this team more and more, we'll probably see him. So I'm going to lean towards Red Strike because supports are people too.
They certainly are, and I think Red Strike's just consistency across both games was really impressive for me. I mean, Close Your Eyes obviously had a phenomenal game one as well. So can't discount that, but it's always good to show a little love and supports. I think is
Oh,
that
absolutely. It's Red
we have
Strike
the man
himself.
of the hour here now, Red Strike. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on your win tonight, first win of the season for the squad. How you guys feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good. It wasn't the greatest experience losing three in a row, but hopefully this is going to be a
Mhm.
new start for us. We'll get some wins under our belt.
See,
Yeah,
the way I see it is, I've definitely looked at your guys' team like every week, obviously, since I do the power rankings, and I definitely was like tentative at first because there were some things you guys were doing that I wasn't sure about, but I definitely think you guys have been improving week to week. And then now I see that you guys did some roster changes, and I think the biggest thing to me is I saw way more of an identity. This series, I saw way more of like cohesive, like shot calling. Like you guys knew what you wanted to do. The team comps were a lot like better built, and like I just noticed that it just seemed like there's a lot more confidence, I guess, like in the roster itself. Do you agree that like all those things definitely feel like it came together?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would say that in general, we've definitely had some communications issues. We've been working on it. It definitely worked out a lot better. Our new jungler, Close Your Eyes, Alex, shout out to you. He's definitely been doing a lot of the shot calling,
Mhm.
we spent a lot this game just putting ourselves on comfort picks. You know, the Kennen, the Vlad, me on Rel.
So
ADC is great on hyper
how
carries.
how are you feeling before the game was played when they chose All Star into Rail? Were you like a little bit worried because of like the general counter matchup? Like were you like okay they expect the Rail they've played against it maybe like is this going to be kind of annoying, right?
I would say it's annoying, but at the same time, like half of bot lane champions kind of counter Rel. They have some
Mhm.
form of disengage. Janna, Vayne, Lulu. You know,
Mhm.
so many champions already have it, so you just kind of learn to play around of it. Plus, nobody really plays Rel, so it's kind of hard to get the experience being able
Yeah.
to play against the Rel.
See, I knew you definitely felt very, very, very comfortable in that matchup because you knew exactly when for lack of a better word, when All Star messed up. Like every single time All Star would like engage or he would basically like you knew that there was no like stopping you. I watched you immediately make the snap decision, and I don't know if that was like the shot calling of the jungler or if just like the experience from yourself. If
It's a little bit of both. You know, when we're looking for engages, it's hard to play against that. It's hard to get the counter engages off. And I have a lot more experience playing Rel into Alistar than he probably has Alistar into Rel, just because,
Mhm.
you know, I play the champ more. So just ended
Yeah,
up working in our favor.
yeah, I definitely in game two, I would have liked to see them like kind of pivot a bit into like a different counter, like you said, like the Java or maybe even the Lulu, especially considering they went for the Kog'Maw. And then I'm assuming like when they chose the All Star, you were just like, yeah, I'm so ready for this matchup. I know exactly what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, it's like last game worked out for us. Don't see any reason why it would be different.
Exactly, because it's like one of those things where you're just like, man, I was already, like I already wanted to play Rel in, like I'm already playing Rel in All Star. That's whatever. Then you play that first game, and then it goes as it does, and then it's like you already know your path to victory.
Yep, worked out pretty well.
I really do enjoy your team comp a lot. Very
Definitely
fun.
some fantastic play there on the Iron Horse Lady. Really well done. Some high priority in the draft, and you really showed us why. You guys played around it excellently, but you already called out your jungler here, Red Strike, who also had a fantastic couple of games here tonight. I want to go back towards the beginning of game one. You guys were down gold for the majority of the early game there in that first game. But I remember one fight in particular where you and Close Your Eyes were able to turn things around. And I do believe Viego got a trip or a quadra kill or like a triple kill or 3 or 4. I don't remember
It's
exactly,
like the
but
dragon fight where just everything went to hell for
yeah,
Team
yeah.
Ishtar.
It was a big fight win, but basically my question for you, Red Strike, is was that kind of always the plan to just kind of play for team fights? Were you guys, because it seemed like you were as a team just very kind of calm and collected through the early game there, and then there just sort of came a point where you guys all just turned it on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first game, we did have a little bit of a mess up in the enemy jungle. I think we traded a 4-for-1. That ended up kind of making things a little bit not in our favor. But we thought pretty much we outscale across the board. We got Jinx, we got Jax, we got Viego, we got we just click ours in team fights and we win. And that's pretty much what ended up happening that direct fight. We got Viego reset, and we have CC, and kind of just snowballed from there.
Yeah, simple as that.
Hmm.
So I see, like looking into your schedule, basically that you guys are looking at. I believe WC Rams, followed by um, Predictive Gaming, and Barbara's Fan Club. I honestly think that's a perfect ramp up into the Gauntlet slash playoff structure. Or like, how do you guys feel about the upcoming schedule? Do you feel like it's going to be very decent towards you guys, or are you guys just basically like you guys are just taking it one series at a time, just trying to make sure you just stack up the wins and get as like the best seating as you can get, or do you think that the schedule looking forward looks kind of favorable for you guys, and you guys are just looking to build up synergy?
We definitely have had a little bit of the rougher end. We played both MG Element and DPS, which I believe are top two of the three. So we know that we've got some of the less high on the power ranking, I should say, teams. So we're definitely looking up to rack up some wins. We're kind of just taking it one game at a time, building up
Mhm.
synergy, like you said, preparing for the gauntlet, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I
Right.
just always have to ask because especially in the past of the league, there's always teams that basically are very cocky, and I wanted to see if I could pull any cockiness from you, but also give you an out to be extremely extraordinarily humble and just let hopefully your series speak for themselves, which I'm assuming you definitely want to show, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. We will, we will definitely be busting out some more wins throughout the weeks to come.
There certainly is plenty of time left in the season for you guys to make a push towards the top of the table there, the upper echelon of the standings. But it's definitely a little bit of a difficult situation that you guys found yourself interested in general, having to make roster swaps here, after the season has started. So, do you have like a goal as a team, like where you guys want to get to, or any kind of like specific things that you're working on here that you can share with us?
Mm, I would say just don't feel upset in our performance. If we play against, one of the higher ranking teams like Barbara's Fan Club or something and they beat us, it is what it is as long as we play as well as we could have. Obviously, we'll be looking to take as many wins as we can. I winning would be ideal, but, where we'll absolutely be looking to play the best we can, as long as we're not disappointed in our performance.
That's actually a really good answer, especially because like I've seen it many times through BTL, and generally like top teams generally kind of stay somewhat top teams, but there's always one or two teams that basically take the approach you guys are taking, and the best part is that meta changes happen, and then not only that, but like form changes happen, and people like some dominant junglers aren't as dominant, and then there's also like the honeymoon phase of like new junglers, new players, new shot calling paradigms. Basically, like I do think you guys are in a very good position that if you guys do just take it one series at a time and then into the gauntlet, it's all about like um, basically your form when you get to the gauntlet and the playoffs. And it seems like you guys are working more towards that than basically just trying to be a top team, right?
Mhm. Absolutely, yeah.
Well, Defiant, you got anything else for our player of the game here?
Oh, I just want to say, goddamn, those engages were nasty as hell, and like it just seemed like you couldn't go wrong with your engages. I don't really remember an engage. I think there might have been one, maybe, where like they were like, oh, but it was just more like Ishtar played it really well. You didn't really have many options, and you had to do it, otherwise Vayne would die. So, but other than that, I felt like you played absolutely fantastically, um, and I definitely think you deserve the shout out. Is there anything that like you want to have as like some closing statements, being the player
Not
of the
much.
series?
I will say I want to give some credit to my ADC. Game two especially, he wasn't able to pick up too many kills. I think he had more assists than me for like 2/3 of the game or something like that. But he still definitely was able to put in the work on the Vayne and cut out some of the Mord and the Jarvan.
Yeah,
Oh
definitely
yeah.
had a really nice team fight towards the end there, where he played right on the edge of Mordekaiser's range.
Oh yeah, I
For
remember
sure.
that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Gotta
that
love the
that team
strong
fight pretty
man
much
in
sealed the
late
deal.
ADCs.
Yeah.
I,
So
I, I felt both AD carries had to have strong mental this game because Frostbite, unfortunately, also like there's a lot of times he just kept getting assists, like it just assist, 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 and I'm like, if you just finished your item, you would be good right now, and then he would just get blown up after, and I would just see him with components crying in his hands, and it was awful.
All
well,
right.
thank you for stopping by for the interview, Red Strike.
Of course.
Congratulations again on your win.
Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing more of our team members show up for interviews in future weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel good whenever you're the one in the interview booth, right? That means usually you did something right.
That's true. Thanks so much. See you guys.
See
Yeah.
ya. All right. Well, I believe that will do it for us here on this Friday night. We did have that rescheduled game. This game was originally going to happen on Sunday at 9 p.m. EST, but the team did agree to reschedule today. Team Ishtar was the team that asked for the reschedule, so they did lose the bans. We did forget. I think I did forget about that at first, but yeah, they did lose the ban. So maybe that also had some type of effect. Maybe they would have banned
Yeah.
away the Rel if they had a third ban, for example, or
I
something
think they
like
Maybe.
probably
that.
would have game
Yeah,
two.
they
Because
probably would
like
have.
it seemed like that they did results based bans
Hmm.
in game two, and they banned like the Viego, like Jinx, which I do think were technically the priority bans, but I
Right.
could see the third ban immediately going towards Rel if that
Yeah,
was the case.
exactly, exactly. And we will not be here tomorrow night on Saturday. We will not be live. We do not have a 6 p.m. or a 9 p.m. game. The game that was going to happen at 6 p.m. is not going to happen Sunday at 9. They took the time slot that originally were going to these two teams. That'll be Spectre Gaming versus Predictive Gaming. And the 9 p.m. game from tomorrow, which unfortunately was going to be Barba's Fan Club versus MG Element. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that matchup.
Hell yeah.
However, that game is going to be rescheduled to we don't know when. They said they can't play within the next week. Barbara's Fan Club is requesting that. Barbara's Fan Club will be losing bans in that series, but hopefully we can get that series happening within like the next week and a half. Typically we do have the 1 week, have to play within 1 week, but we're not going to force them to FF. We're just going to take away the ban, and hopefully we can get that game as soon as possible. As soon as I know, then I will update the schedule and let everyone else know when that game is going to happen. It'll probably be on some type of weeknight on the in the weekend of the week of the 28th. I might like probably March 28th after the next weekend. And then Sunday at 6 p.m. we have WCUNs versus DPS. So our next games will be Sunday at 6 and at 9. And I think we'll have. I'm not sure who's going to be on the cast. We'll put in the announcement whenever we know. And thank you so much for In Defiance, of course, the guy, the myth, the legend, the person that is currently doing the awesome. I've been loving the power rankings so far. Lots of detail in them. Really
I, I, I
appreciate
do
those who
I
are
do
doing
want to
excellent
point out
effort.
that when I post the power rankings, this game will have absolutely no effect for the previous week's power rankings. Because
Oh
like
yeah,
I
that's
already
fair.
have,
Yeah,
I
that's
already
fair.
have some things like written and already some things done for it. I'm
Right.
gonna rewatch those games. So Trebuchet, if you're listening, I love you more than it's gonna look like.
Yeah, that's fair. This game is early. Typically, the week would start tomorrow. And thanks so much for crewman for coming in doing the play-by-play. Super clutch, especially on last minute notice on a Friday.
For
And
sure.
we're going to go ahead and host Risen Esports. We most of our viewers have kind of left, so it's going to be a small host. But they did raid us last weekend, so it's just kind of a thought that counts type of host here. And we will be back on Sunday. And thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thanks for watching.